Welcome to the show. My guest tonight is Gloria Messer. She's the producer, director of the show Access for All. And tonight, or everybody
You can make it anywhere.
But do what now? Before there was jobs, you had 3 part-time jobs, you were filmmaking, selling products, little small businesses.
Subsidized. But there is no reason for them to get this tax subsidy when they are getting so much for the apartments that they built. The one building at 157 West 57th, they just got $1 million for an apartment. Can you imagine?
What?
That is $1 million to buy an apartment. Not only that, but these people are not residents. They are just parking their money in the banks. And this is space that they rented and they keep empty. Now, basically, a lot of the middle income can be filled into that apartment. That building can house a lot of people. Right now, it's empty, just supporting or just catering to people who have a lot of money and can afford to keep the apartments and the spaces empty. Building are not occupied. They are owned by people who live outside the city and just keep these apartments empty. And they can afford to do it because of the tax breaks they get.
But shouldn't we have a law that require that people who rent apartments in New York City live in New York City? Because there's a lot of demands, and you see like 3 families in one apartment. You see people bunching up together
But how
in
nice.
apartment.
I'm
But the
sorry.
law, I'm talking about
Yeah,
the law.
No,
And
I don't think they would do that because to house people who need housing.
But you're talking about people who need housing. We have a new mayor. He seems to have the goodwill of the people. He's working, his wife is visiting HRA facilities because I think she's working with domestic violence victims. The House Speaker, Viverito Melissa Mark, she has good intentions. She did the state of the city in a project unit outside. I want to know how sincere they are. Have you read anything to the contrary of this?
Well, obviously, Bill de Blasio says he would like to provide housing. However, he is giving the landlords anything they want. He is not providing housing. He is giving lip service to housing. There's an article here, he was claiming to provide 200,000 apartments over a period of 10 years, which only means 20,000 apartments per year. Now, if you want to divide the 20,000 by the 5 boroughs, 5 into 20 is 4,000 for each borough. That's not very many apartments, and I don't know if it's divided evenly or if it's weighted towards different boroughs.
Okay.
But basically, there are very few apartments. It sounds good. It sounds good to the when you talk about a figure for 10 years, that is not providing housing now. And he will only provide the housing if the money that could be used to build the housing were given to the landlords. In other words, in 2013, the 421A, they're not talking about that. They're saying, I'll give 4,000 apartments, but I'm going to displace hundreds of thousands of tenants by getting rid of rent stabilization laws and rent control. So where are these people? Now, in the 60s, what they did was they built Co-op City in the Bronx. And the concourse was a beautiful area. I was born in the Bronx. And had some lovely apartments. And a lot of people moved to Co-op City and moved to Westchester. And then the Bronx deteriorated. That's what gentrification did. It built Co-op City, and Co-op City I don't know what the apartments look like, but it's not very convenient to transportation,
No,
and it
not.
takes over an hour to get to the city. And I've been in some apartments off the concourse, which used to be beautiful apartments. They've deteriorated so badly, and no one is maintaining them or upkeeping them. Now, please don't tell me these landlords are not making money on these apartments. That is not true. They're fixing the books, and that's the only reason. And de Blasio is encouraging this. He's going to destroy the Bronx, thinking that putting a few big glass buildings in there will make it beautiful. First of all, you can see the sky in the Bronx. If you walk down the streets of Manhattan, there is no sky. They're building these buildings so tall. Look at the back, these buildings back here. Look at the amount of sky you can see. In the Bronx or Brooklyn, you can still see the sky. I mean, it's human. This is not human scale. And we destroyed Wall Street years ago by building too tall. And now we're trying to bring it, we brought it back. But, you know, people, would you like to live in a building that is 100 stories tall and look out your window and see someone getting undressed in the next building? I was in Trump Tower when I was a real estate broker, and beautiful apartment, very expensive, but I opened my window and I looked.
You serious?
In other words, the people can't walk into the same entrance that the millionaires walk into. They have to walk into a poor door.
That's a humiliation.
Yes, it's a humiliation, and it is not right. And first of all, we're all equal. Just because you have money doesn't make you any better than anyone else.
Well, that's what I think. Money is good, people is good, but I think people trumps money, because at the end of the day, you want people.
Well,
You want to, you know, socialize, you want to share, you want to help, you want to build socially. Nobody's better than me. Nobody's better than you. No racist, no any racist.
and each page had the history of a different building on Park Avenue. And what I never realized, all those buildings were originally built as co-ops. And now I'm going back to probably the 80s. Now what happened is they were built before the Depression in the 30s, maybe some in the 20s, and they all went bankrupt. And then they were turned into rentals. And now in the 80s, they re-co-opt them. They are now very, very expensive co-ops, condos, whatever. And they are going to go bankrupt again. Rent increase subsidy.
Subsidy, yes.
And what it does is allow seniors who cannot afford the ridiculous increases that we get every year or two, and it freezes their rent. Now, these are people who are living on Social Security and would have to leave the city.
Which is a fixed income.
Right. Now, what happened is, I think de Blasio or the city increased. Before, you could earn up to $29,000 a year to receive SCREE. Now you can earn up to $50,000 a year. That happened last year, I think. Well, now that they allowed all of these new people to come into SCREE, they are coming back, they're withdrawing SCREE and sending people letters. They've sent a number of people letters. This is not in the press. I got the information from Helen Rosenthal's office, who sent out something. I tried to check the up-to-date facts today. There is nothing on the internet, but they are rescinding SCREE for people, a lot of people who they have determined are not paying at least 1/3 of the rent. Now, a lot of people are paying 60, 70, and 80% of their rent, which is ridiculous. You can't eat with that money, and unless you have another income, how do you live? You can't live here.
That's why many people now are applying for food stamps.
Yes,
Because
but
there's
they
no
cut
money.
food stamps. They cut food
Did
stamps
they?
from $200 to $16. And there is no reason for it. They refuse to give you the figures to figure out how they determine who to cut and who not to cut. But We had
Sheets
no before you
government
voted, and they know exactly who is
I
going to
question
win.
my votes with this computer like scanning. Well, we come to an end.